Well, good morning. It is Sunday, and yesterday was Saturday. I thought I'd be here to do a little bit of work at least, but no, the volleyball tournament turned into 18-hour day. So it is now Sunday, and I really have to crank on this thing all day. So there's obviously a lot left to do before it's driving, but we really got to do several things that I'm really going to try and knock out as fast as I possibly can. I'm hoping there's no or minimal disruptions today. So I'm going to try and record as much as I can, but I might not focus on that. I might just focus on getting work done, and then I'll kind of update you along the way as we're getting ready for RatStock, because it is now September 8th and RatStock is on the 20th and 21st. I actually took work off the 18th, so I got 10 days basically to finish this. And knowing the way my schedule usually goes, it's going to be pretty tight. So just like the shirt says, facts don't care about your feelings. I can't sit here and worry about it, so just got to jump right into work. All right, so everybody knows what this is. It is the to-do list. I did put an awful lot of stuff on there just because there is an awful lot to do. But basically, it goes through the things that I have to check off. Some of them are nitpicky, some of them are very broad, like mount body. Okay, well, there's 6 body mounts. Hopefully when I put this back down here, I'm gonna put the chassis on the dollies, even though those casters are spent. At least I can wiggle it around a little bit. So as the body's coming back down, I can line up the holes that I have in the frame to mount the body. That should be pretty straightforward. But what I do need to do, up front, I do need to trim the frame a little bit. There was a spot on the rockers or the sills that I put in where it does bump into the frame, which probably wouldn't be a problem, but might lead to some bad vibration. So I'm just going to trim away a little bit of the frame up there. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So that's on here as well, but that kind of goes with mount the body. But then we got to hook up the brakes, all the fittings, bleed it, maybe relocate the pedal because I could change that pivot point. That might help a lot. We got to put the steering joints in. We got to hook up the fuel lines. I'm going to move them. I'm not happy where they are right now. Power steering lines, run the airbag lines to the control valve, which is going to need to sit on the console somewhere. Hook up the battery. We got to hook up the ground or the earth to those of us in South Africa or New Zealand or Australia who are watching, because I know there's a couple of you out there. Got to fabricate some running boards. Got to put some exhaust on. Put the front fenders on. Simple things like that. Oh, maybe running a radiator might be good. Got to make a support for that. Hook our transmission lines up to that. I got an oil cooler, double check our pinion angle when we're at our ride height. So that's kind of the run through. Right now I'm going to show you what I'm going to notch on the frame there. It's not a big deal. I'm just going to cut out a little bit of the frame. I'm using angle iron so that we got a little bit of room for the body. I'll show you. So let's just start working. Okay, so here it is on the frame. When I had the body down here, you can see I used a paint line. This little bit of the frame, you can see how it dips down here a little bit, but during that it was hitting right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut this with the grinder to here and then over, and then just to reinforce that, I don't know how big that is, maybe 1.5 inches. So we're just going to notch the frame and then put that back in there so we've got some structure there. So basically this is going to be a pretty straightforward cut, stick this in its place, trim the excess, and weld it into place so we've got some more structure back where I'm deleting. So instead of the frame coming out and down, it's just going to go down and over. So that's the first thing on the list today. All right, so you can see what we did here is just made a notch and then cut this piece out to match. So that's gonna go in there so we restore our structure. So it's amazing. You think that truck frames are nice and heavy duty, but I mean, this is just simple 1/8" plate, nothing fancy, just bent into a C and then welded together. Interestingly, got like half the farm in here. There's a bunch of, looks like mulch and leaves in there. So I'm gonna put this piece in there, cap the ends, and then be done with this side, move on to the other side, do the exact same thing. So I'll just show you this one and then repeat the process on the other side. All right, here's my notch. Probably totally overkill for what I need to do here, but you can see basically we just recessed this into the frame, reinforced it with some new metal, which honestly I think is stronger than the frame of the S10. You know, I think that, you know, we burned it in there adequately just to reinforce that spot. And the reason for that is, again, when I put the body on the chassis, it was bumping in right there. My body is gonna mount up here. So it was just, I didn't like it. I just wanted to have a little recess there. Overkill, but functional. So let's move on to the other side. Well, here's the driver's side. Again, nothing fancy, but I think for, you know, notching the frame, reinforcing it looks pretty good. We'll come over to the other side. I just have the primer on it right now, but same kind of concept, same exact notch. And while I was working, I had no idea, but look what was left here as a gift for me. Man, lucky dude. All right, well, it is time for either the most genius idea I've ever had or the dumbest idea I've ever had. So I want to do the exhaust before I put the body back down. So I've thought about this for a long time. The issue is on this side, we have a gas tank. There's nowhere for that header to go anywhere. So the only option is that way. So here, I'll just show you on this side, because there's a little bit more room, okay? So we're gonna go from our stubby little shorty header there. We're gonna come next to the transmission equally on both sides, and then we're gonna do this. Boop. We are gonna do a through frame exhaust. So I bought some, from my steel guy, Lynn Steel, some Schedule 40 pipe. That is way thicker than the frame. What we're gonna do is we are gonna cut a hole right here. You can see I made a mark there. And we are gonna run over the transmission cross member, take a 90. It's gonna run along the frame rail back to the edge of the rear fender, and it is going to come out through the running board, you know, when I get around to making running boards. So this is, as I said, either going to be the most genius, awesome thing I ever came up with or the dumbest thing ever. So I guess you're gonna find out with me because I'm doing it now. All right, well, just to document the insanity, and I can't wait to read what people are gonna say about this idea. But what I did is I prepped the frame, I just ground off anything that was on there, and I marked a spot where I want it to go through. I just used the edge of the 90, that little piece of pipe there, that's from that universal exhaust kit from Summit. So I marked the center of the pipe. You can see where the seam is there, right at the very, very top at the 12 o'clock position. I use that to transfer a line to the frame so that I can reference on the other side when I make the same hole on that side of the frame rail. So what's going to happen is I'm going to just use my plasma cutter. I put one single tack weld on the top just to hold it there. And I'm going to run my plasma cutter around the perimeter of that thing, cut a hole, transfer it to the outside, cut the same hole, poke the pipe through. So we're creating more structure. Again, honestly, more than I think the S10 frame has on its own. And then that's 3.5 inch pipe, or four inch pipe, heck, I don't know. And I'm running 2.5 inch exhaust. So basically, I'm gonna make a hole in the frame, use that to reinforce it, weld both sides solid, and I think we're good to go. So what I will do now is grab the plasma cutter and make a hole in the frame. All right, so here you go. Basically what I did is I cut my hole. I just got a tack on the top on both sides, holding it in place. You can see here how we got our hole through the frame. My pipe was longer than intended. I just guessed when I asked my steel guy to cut it. So I just biased a little bit more towards the inside. There is a bit of a gap around the edge, which is okay. That'll fill in with plenty of weld. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna weld the top half of both sides, and then I will go to, when I put the car on the lift, then I'll get the underside of it. I don't feel like laying down on my back to try and do the welding. So we'll do the top half to hold it in place, and that's kind of the concept. So the exhaust pipe, again, this is just going to go through here like such, and I'm just holding it there. So we've got plenty of room for that pipe in there, and then it's going to turn back towards the rear of the car like that and run underneath the door sill to the back of the car. So that's kind of the plan. So let's burn that in around the top half, both sides. Then I obviously got to repeat over there, the same kind of deal. And then we can start doing some pipes out to here. Well, it took me a second to figure out the wire speed, and but ultimately I think we got good penetration both sides, and it's welded in the top half. So what I'll do is repeat this process on the driver's side, and then we will get that universal exhaust pipe kit out, and we will start doing some more work. All right, so here is the result of my idiotic genius. I don't know what to call it, but I got my 90 through there. I did put some header wrap on it just so we maybe mitigate some vibrations, but I got part of my disc there as a spacer to make sure it doesn't have any contact on the inside here. I got it above my cross member with a little shim there just so that doesn't rub at the moment. Tack, tack, tack. So here's the problem with this. Because the width of my tube that I welded in there, I can't take this whole thing out all at once. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to put a clamp there. So what I'm going to have to do is, now that these are tacked, I will take this portion out and weld it. This part I'm going to leave undone. Weld these seams all the way up, reinstall this, and then when this part goes in here, which is going to run along, like my leveling stand there, it's going to run along the bottom of the frame to about there, and then right out in front of the fender. So that's the plan-ish, kind of. So not super pretty, but I'm going to put a couple tacks on there again so it doesn't move, take it out, weld it, put it back in. And that's just one side. So that's kind of what we're going for right now. This all weld up. All right, so here's your early afternoon update. So we got our through frame exhaust on both sides. On the driver's side, I had to do a little bit of a kick up there. On this side, it's pretty much straight back and then over. It's not perfect. We're not going to SEMA, we're going to RatStock. So this will be good for me. Again, this is gonna run straight back under the, what do you call it? It's the running board when I actually get around to making those. So now that the exhaust is done, I'm going to reroute my fuel lines to get them out of the way. Then I think I'm ready to put the body back down. So we shall see. Let me work on this a little bit and I will get back to you. All right, well, let's see what 5 hours gets you. So been busy. fully welded up both sides of the exhaust. You can see it run through here. Decided that I was just gonna do header wrap for the whole thing. Going for the two-tone look here, whatever. No one's gonna ever see that. Got our lines rerun here, organized. They look nice and neat. Yeah, because that looks nice and neat. Perfect. Got our air lines hooked up there. Got our O2 sensor welded in there. I hope it's not going to hit anything. That seems like a dumb thing to put in right at the moment, but it's in. I sure hope it's not going to hit anything important. 3-4 inches that I didn't have enough header wrap. Oh well, that's the way it goes. Got our lines run. Also, what I did is I cut off these brackets that were back here. They were the spring mounts, spring perches. So I had to get the air chisel out and hammer those out. Fully welded in everything around that. Checked the fittings on all the brake lines. They're good to go. So what I'm going to do is drop this down on the casters so I can move it to and fro, because I'm sure that it's not in the right spot to put the body back down on it. So I'm going to do that now, and I guess then we will be bolting the body down to the chassis. All right, the body is bolted down onto the chassis. So I was just summoned for dinner. I think I'm going to go do that. But we're bolted down. So next thing we got to do is maybe grab the front fenders. Nah, we're going to hold off on that. What we're going to do is we're going to make that mail slot there bigger so all the wiring can bloop, drop in there. And then reinstall the steering column. Then maybe do the fenders, etc. So for the moment, we're bolted on, still on the casters. But yeah, there you go. It's not bad for most of a day. So I don't know, got to keep moving, got to keep rolling. So I'm going to grab some dinner. Fortunately, I have someone who is letting me work on this project and taking more time away from her than I probably deserve. So I'll just say thank you to Jamie right now. Well, it is dark 30 and we got a lot accomplished. So all the brake lines are run, snugged up, and fittings are tight on the master cylinder power booster. So we're going to have to bleed that tomorrow. Underneath, the exhaust is done through the frame on both sides. We're going to run it right along there until the front of the rear fender, and then it's going to shoot straight out in front of the rear fender. I'm going to incorporate it into the running boards once we get around to fabricating those. On the inside here, I did actually take quite a bit of time, and I didn't record anything because it's pain. So you can see kind of transversely there, crossways, we have a brace going from passenger side all the way over to the driver side here, and it's welded to the body of the car. Let me scoot up here above the steering wheel. I created this kind of bracket thing here that is threaded so that the steering column can actually come out if I need to ever take it out of there. So the dash, that kind of stuff is ready to go. Ran the battery cables, ran the positive all the way along the frame, and it's hooked up to the battery now. Got our air lines run along the side of that. Again, on this side, same deal with the through frame exhaust. It's right under the sill there, and it's gonna do the little doodad there. In the back here, got the access panel over there, put back in. Rear seat, no change. Front seats look good, I think. So, every little bit at a time, what I'm gonna do, let me get in here, is where I put that support going from side to side actually lines up with this. So I'm gonna put a piece of sheet metal here. I'm gonna make like a tray. And basically, this whole area here is probably, I don't know, 12 inches, 13 inches. This whole pile of crap, after we cut a hole in there, is just gonna go inside and maybe never think about it ever again. So that was a Sunday. Fortunately, I had the entire day out here, which is crazy to think that I've been working on this thing for months and months, and I have no idea how it's coming down to the last minute, and you know, we're still doing all this stuff. But I guess, as neighbor Dave said, I did build a car. So I'm signing off for tonight. That was Sunday. Supposed to get it to the glass guy this week because, you know, we do need a kind of a wind screen here. He said he could do that and the rear quarters and the rear window in a couple of days. We might just forego any door glass for the time being, just because, well, you know, time crunch. So anyways, that's enough talking. I'm signing off. Good hustle, Layla. Nice shot. Nice rebound, Layla. Well, it's Monday evening. This is my Master Deluxe project. What you'll notice is that this is a master cylinder for the Master, which is not in the Master. That's because earlier today, Jamie came out, was helping me bleed the brakes, and I couldn't get anything out of the rears. I thought, huh, that's weird. I cracked them open. I just let them sit there for half an hour thinking they would gravity bleed a little bit, nothing. Came up to the front just to try the front circuit out. Front circuit worked great. So I don't know what's not working in this, but it is not working in this, and therefore it will be arriving tomorrow at O'Reilly's. So now that the evening is well on, it's 9:15. Just got back from basketball game. So what I'm going to do, since I can't do any brake work today, is I'm going to try and figure out what I have to do with the U-joints to get the steering hooked up. At least I can get that done and out of the way, or at least started tonight. I don't know if it'll be done tonight. But, you know, it's always something. What can you do? All right, well, I hope my air filter running in the background isn't too noisy, but you can kind of see the concept here. We've got the steering column coming out. There is in my hand, there's the double D shaft coming out of the steering column. I have it on a U-joint here. I have a stanchion in the middle. I have a U-joint, and then I have the remaining column going down to the rag joint there on the steering box. So I have to kind of hold it here with my right hand, as you see, because that gets a little bit floppy. So what I'm going to have to do is weld this middle stanchion in, and then I'm going to have to get another one for back here where my right hand is, just to support this, because here, if I let go, you'll see it does that. So I need to have another one of these right here. I don't have that tonight. Hopefully Tractor Supply or something like that has something that I can buy, because I'll be out and about tomorrow. There's a general hardware store. It's called Long's Outpost near me, and they basically have all that kind of stuff. So I'm kind of where I can get tonight. What I'm going to do is I'm going to weld this nut on here permanently. I might throw a tack or two down there so this is in place. And then what I'm going to do for this, obviously we're not driving with a vice grip on there. I'm going to drill a through bolt in this one so that doesn't slide up and down. Once I get this stanchion in here, then I can tighten all these and lock nut everything down. And then we should have steering, right? And by tomorrow we will also have a master cylinder to put back on the Master. All right, well, here's your 11:15 update for Monday night. All I really did was kind of mock up the steering here. The U-joints look like they're in pretty good position. They're not going to bind up, I don't think. That's not much of an angle, maybe 15 degrees at most. I welded the shaft support on this, but it's not welded down to the frame yet. I think what I am going to do, as I said, is I'll get another one of these, and we're going to put a longer post from here up into this one, just for a little bit more support, so when the steering column is turning, there's not play on this part compared to this part compared to this part. So all things considered, it's a pretty straight line. It's a little bit of a jog in there at the end, but I think it looks pretty good. So the rest of the time, what I did out here is I just cleaned up a little bit, and waiting on parts. I got to get that tomorrow. I got to get the master cylinder tomorrow. Once I have that, we got to fabricate something to rest our radiator in up here, and then take all of this and shove it on the inside. So that's it for Monday. Hope everybody's having a good night. And if you're going to RatStock, I hope you're a lot farther ahead than I am. All right, Wednesday evening update. It's 8:30, and I'm just going to kind of take you over to the master list there and show you what we got done over the past couple days. Had two buddies come over. Cordell and Joe were here wrenching for a couple hours last night, and that really helped out. Got the brakes finalized, everything's bled out, and really strong pedal. That's awesome. Did a whole bunch of stuff. So let's just go over to the list, and we'll take a look at what's been happening. All right, so here's our master list. We mounted the body. We got the exhaust run through the frame there. We got to shoot straight back to around there approximately, and then a 90 out. So that's good enough for now. Trimmed the frame and notched it. Hooked up the brakes. They're all bled. All the fittings are checked. The pedal is good where it is. Steering column. That is done. Okay, so if you remember, I built that brace there from side to side. That's in there. The column is rock solid. And then we did all the U-joints. So here's what I came up with for the U-joints. It looks a little bit crazy, but it's a pretty straight shot out of the firewall, but I did need to kick it out a little bit to get around the power steering pump here. That's nice and clear. So what I did is I got a Heim joint here. I went to Tractor Supply and I got the very last 3/4 inch one there. I built a brace that goes down and bolts to the frame here. There's a brace for this one that supports the central shaft. So let me just zoom out here, see if I can push on the tire, and we're gonna see everything rotate here. Maybe if I can do this with one hand. So everything's good that way. It doesn't bind up anywhere. There you go. So lock to lock, we're good. Straighten it out here again. Perfect. Okay, so steering column, U-joints are in, those are tightened up. Got the power steering lines back on. The guys bent that up for me, so it's gonna fit underneath the fender. That's awesome. We did have a little bit of issue with the proportioning valve, but we got the new brake master cylinder hooked up and everything's bled. Super strong pedal. Super happy about that. So if we come back to the list, fuel lines are hooked up. Re-ran those back behind the frame here. Power steering, showed you that. Airbag lines were run. Batteries hooked up, but it's installed with the remote relocation kit. So we got to work on running boards. We got to get the tail lights and the headlights with the mounting brackets on there. We're going to do hood pins for the hood. I couldn't find any of the actual factory latches for a master, less than like $500 for the set that I would need. So that's dumb. So we're using hood pins. Install the grill, and then the next thing I got to do over the next 2 days is radiator support and run those hoses and fan. Transmission lines, those will go right into the radiator. I got a remote oil cooler for it, and the pinion angle's off. I checked it, I put it at ride height. We got to bring the pinion down about 4 degrees to get it lined up with the output of the transmission. So that is Wednesday. It's been busy, like I said, but this still looks like there's a crap ton of stuff to do. And yeah, well, there is, but I got a couple days that I can really crank on it. So that's your Wednesday evening update, and I will get back after it tomorrow. All right, well, Thursday afternoon update. Car is still up there, of course. Just doing some work on the electrical stuff down here. I'll kind of show you what I'm getting at. Gonna try finishing wiring tomorrow. And hopefully when that's finished, we're gonna throw the front end back on, work on the cooling system, and then I think we're driving. So anyways, let me flip the camera around here, kind of show you what I've been doing here on the bench. All right, so here's my disaster area right now. So these are the headlight doodads that are for the car. They're kind of awkward shaped anyways, and they had these things on them. I only have one that actually has the guts inside of it, and it actually has this tail of the old cloth stuff on it. The other ones have nothing on the inside. This one's just totally roached. So I could try and salvage those and put something in there to hold the lights. I actually have these. This glass is pretty cool. Probably could sell that on the old interwebs. If anybody wants lights for a 1937 Chevy, let me know. So I got those. They might work, but those stick out past this anyways, like that. So here's what I decided to do, because I wanted to be, like people to know that I'm stopping and such. I bought these. They are just basic trailer lights, nothing fancy. Just stop, turn, and tail light. Perfectly adequate for what I need. So what I did is I fabricated a bracket. Let's go find that over here because I'm in the process of making one. So here's what I did is I cut out a template. That goes on the back of the taillight thing. This is, I welded a nut there, right? And that kind of sits on like such. All right, so then this nut here, sorry for the back and forth, that nut engages this screw that goes through here. So I have this one complete. You can see I've got a screw through there, and that engages that little bracket. You can see a little bit of it poking out here, what I made, and it holds that taillight on there. Does it look good? It's a rat rod. Probably don't care. I could have done something cool. You know, people do pistons and all that kind of stuff, but these are actually the weird looking Shrek things that were poking out the back of the car. So that's what I'm going to use. And this gives, and I made a pigtail to stick out of here so that when I get the wiring done, this will be a lot cleaner. It's new wire, and that's just kind of hanging out there. It's really not any bigger than what would be on there from stock standpoint. Kind of looks halfway okay. I understand it's not what came with the car, so if you don't like it, I offer you can come over to my shop and you can fix these things up and, spend the time to do it. I'm going to do this because it seems more efficient to me. So I'm going to finish wiring this up. And then the next thing we got to do is the same type of thing for the headlight stanchions here. So I'm going to keep working on this, but I do have a volleyball game to get to in about an hour, and that's going to occupy the rest of the evening. So I'm going to finish this stuff up and then come back after it tomorrow. All right. All right, well, it is the end of Friday. And let me tell you, I have two people to thank for letting me work on this all day. Number one is Jamie for letting me be out here wrenching on this thing for this whole day. And also, Joe came over and saved my ass with a whole lot of wiring. So let me show you what got done. I know maybe it doesn't look like all that much, but it was a lot. So, fabricated a radiator core support here. So, got my nice workout mat for a pad there. Got the front of the frame capped off. In addition to that, got all the wiring redone and figured out because I screwed up a whole bunch of it and Joe came in to save the day. Apparently what I did though is I cut this wire, which is, it goes somewhere that tells the gauges what the speed is. So all the wires are stripped down and everything works, runs off of the ignition switch there. So exterior wise, nothing much changed here, but all the wiring is completed and the thing starts and runs great. So mechanically, we are ready to go. I got all the steering finalized, Loctited all the joints, got those things figured out. I got my braces fully welded in there. Brakes are good to go. Air lines are run and good to go. So then on the inside, again, we're going to have to neaten that up, make it look good. But it runs and goes. Got the radiator there, figured out the hoses that we're going to need to connect, so that's fine, that's good. Fenders aren't a problem. Fenders are, sitting right there. That's not a problem. There's like 4 bolts, 5, I don't know, 4 to 6 bolts, we'll say, holding everything together. That's going to bolt up, no problem. Then what I do need to do is fabricate running boards there. If we come around to the back, I put the weird Shrek ears on there. Those tail lights, again, they're round right now. Originally, the car would have had rectangular ones, but we're not running those. So in the inside here, we also ran a battery cutout switch. So that's all wired in. Car is good to go from a mechanical standpoint. So getting down to the wire here, I'm gonna have to figure out, I mean, priorities are whole bunch of zip ties to zip tie all of that stuff up under the dash, but it's good to go. Brake switch is there. These two wires go to the brake switch. The rest of this just needs to be neatened up and tucked away, and it's ready. Priority tomorrow is doing that. Got to put a little stub on the exhaust here and turnout, and then fabricate some running boards. Monday, this is going to the glass guy, and I might just ask that if he can do the windshield and the rear quarters and the rear window. That might be good enough for me. For RatStock, we'll just run with air conditioning on full blast, meaning windows all the way open for the drive. So I don't know, it was a killer day and we got a lot done. So again, thank you to Jamie and Joe for helping me get this project done. So with that, I'm signing off, and the next video better be me at RatStock. So thanks everybody for watching. If you got comments, I appreciate it. See you there.